Hello everybody, I hope you are doing well. Today's video will not be about any particular topic or task, but about the handy tips. I came up with 8 to 9 handy tips that could be used and employed in several tasks. They are handy and they are very efficient. Let's get started. The first handy tip: take as long as possible to check your equipment on the test day. Please guys, when you are escorted into the test room and you are all good to start, don't start the test right away. Let other test takers start before you. Let them start shouting and read aloud. And take as long as possible to check your equipment, to check your keyboard, your headsets, your microphone, everything, your mouse. Just make sure you don't start straight away. Let others start. Probably by the time they finish the fourth read aloud, you could start your first read aloud. And this will make sure that you are practicing or you are attempting read aloud in a quiet environment. This is a very smart way to avoid being distracted while others are attempting read aloud, assuming others have already started the repeat sentence. So imagine if you take 5 minutes to check your equipment and give the introduction part. In those 5 minutes, others have already finished read aloud. So you can do your read aloud without being distracted because other test takers will be doing repeat sentence. Do this, don't forget. Handy tip number 2, the introduction. Make sure you don't skip the introduction. Even though it is unscored task, don't skip it. Do attempt the introduction because you will be able to warm up your vocal cords so that you are very ready for the read aloud and other speaking tasks. This will give you a chance to calm down and relax and moderate and control your adrenaline rush. And most importantly, when you attempt the introduction, you will gain extra time to attempt read aloud without being distracted by others. So I would say this tip here, taking as long as possible to check your equipment and attempting the introduction, they are very much similar, and they both together will help you to gain time, allowing others to finish read aloud and allowing yourself to start read aloud at a very quiet environment. Handy tip number 3, which is related to read aloud. In read aloud, even though you might be preparing for 40 seconds, I need you to read the text loudly. Don't prepare while reading the text silently. Do it loudly. Do it as if you are attempting it and as if you are recording your response. Don't worry about others. If you are preparing and reading loudly, you will get the chance to extra warm up your vocal cords, break down the nervousness you've got, and most importantly, to check if you are able to read some particular difficult words. Because some words, if read silently, you got the feeling that they are easy. But if you want to read them loudly, you could face some issues. So it's better to sort out those issues in the preparation time. Another tip in read aloud: don't use your finger to point at each word. There is a very popular tip at some centers which advises students to use their finger and point out at some words or at the words while reading aloud. Don't do this. This will increase the chances of being distracted. Yeah, don't do it. Just read aloud with your eyes. Yeah, there's no need to use your finger and follow the words while you are reading with your eyes or with your mouth or whatever. Yeah, just keep going. Don't use your finger. Describe image. That's a very important tip. If the image is difficult, like some images such as maps or random images, you get a park to describe or a plane to describe. I would say use the preparation time to write down the keywords on the paper. You have 25 seconds, you have a difficult image. The best thing to do in those 25 seconds is writing the keywords from this image on the paper. 10, 12, 15 keywords, whatever you could write, just write, so that later when you start speaking, you won't be looking at the image itself, because just looking at the difficult image and trying to describe it at the same time will make you hesitate. Why? Because you are thinking. The more you think, the more you hesitate, the more thinking noises you produce. So I would say the best thing to do is use the preparation time and write the keywords on the paper. You've already got the template in your mind, whatever template you are using. You've got the template, you've got the keywords on the paper. When you start describing the image, you don't look at the screen anymore. You only look at the keywords, and you've got the template here. Blend them together and get a very fluent response. Another handy tip: essay. Type the template in 7 minutes. A lot of students could struggle to finish on time in this task. What I would suggest you doing is typing the templates at the beginning with the empty gaps, whatever template you are using. I'm not here discussing the template, but just type the template. It should take 7 to 8 minutes. This is the benchmark. If you have a template of 150 words, 160 words, type it in 7 minutes. You've got the empty gaps. All you need to do in the 13 minutes left over, fill up the gaps with the relevant content, the topic, the main ideas, the supporting ideas, examples if needed. And at the end, you can check your grammar, word count, and spelling. Don't go to the test unless you are ready to type a template in 7 minutes. If your test is in next month, you could practice typing the template every day. Probably in the first week you will be typing it at 12 minutes. You're a bit slow. The next week you become faster, you finish it in 9 minutes, so that I would say in 4 weeks it shouldn't take by you more than 7 minutes to finish typing the template, the raw template. Okay, that's for the essay. Handy tip: spelling. That's a very handy tip. What is the most efficient method to check spelling? The best and the most efficient method to check spelling is by bringing your head closer to the screen and using your finger to point at each word. Don't look at the screen from a distance. Looking from a distance at the screen makes you feel that everything is spelled correctly. However, if you bring your head closer to the screen and use your finger to point at each word, you will be surprised by the amount of typing mistakes. Why I'm saying typing? Because a typing mistake happens when you know how to spell the word, but sadly you mistyped it. And this is considered a spelling mistake at the end of the day, and you're going to lose marks. So use this efficient method. One more time. Head close to the screen, finger at each word, and just go with the flow. Another handy tip: multiple choice, multiple answers, reading section. I would say choose one option all the time to avoid negative marking, unless you are 100% certain about the 2 or 3 correct options. Choose one option to avoid negative marking, and most of the time you can find a clue for the correct option, or for one correct option at the last part of the passage. So at the last part of the passage there should be a clue for one of the correct options. So I would say read the question first and jump into the last part of the text and check over there for the clue, and you should be able to get one correct option. Why not? Same goes for multiple choice question, multiple answers in the listening section. That's another hint. Choose one option to avoid negative marking unless you're 100% certain about the other correct options. And most of the time you can find a clue for the correct option at the last part of the audio, of the recording. So this is a part that you should not ignore. You need to double your attention. By the time the recording is up to finish, there will be a clue for the one correct option. Another tip, that's a very handy tip, that's a very handy one: highlight incorrect words. Don't underestimate this task. Don't underestimate it. It's one of the most important tasks because it contributes to the reading and the listening section. It is an easy task and we could easily score, but we need to make sure that we are scoring 100% in this task. And the reason I'm doing this, because tasks like fill in the blanks, reading and writing are kind of tough, and it's a bit difficult to get 100% correct answers there. So this task will kind of recover any deficiency we have in the fill in the blanks reading section. So the tip is practice at least 10 items a day at 1.2 speech pace. How? If we go to APE Uni, this is one of the most popular free websites to use. You have this option here, as you see. So instead of having the speech pace natural at 1, you can make it 20% faster than the real scenario, 1.2. Imagine you are practicing at 1.2, which is way more difficult than the real scenario. In the exam, you should find it so easy to solve the questions at 1 pace rate, which is the normal scenario. So please, guys, if you are using APE Uni, which is very powerful free tool, and I do suggest you using it for free, just for the practice purposes for the material. I would say at 1.2 speech pace will help you big time improving your skills in this task. And no, that's it. No more hints for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you employ those handy tips. I think there were 8 or 9 of them. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you. Bye.